This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
With the 50th anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis fast approaching, some scholars have questioned whether there is really anything new to say about the nuclear superpower confrontation of October 1962. The answer, of course, is quite simple. If there is additional evidence, then there must be something new to say. And, in fact, a great deal of extraordinary and unprecedented evidence has recently become available. This material has substantially redefined the early understanding of the crisis, based almost entirely on American sources, that had prevailed for the first quarter-century after 1962. Nonetheless, the importance of much of this new evidence has not been fully recognized or absorbed. First, a series of international conferences brought together scholars and government participants from the U.S., the USSR, and Cuba, and produced extraordinary new documents and personal recollections. The conferences were held in Hawks Cay, Florida, March 1987, Cambridge, Massachusetts, October 1987, Moscow, January 1989, Antigua, January 1991, and Havana, January 1992. A follow-up conference in Havana was held to mark the 40th anniversary of the crisis in 2002. These discussions revealed, for example, that Nikita Khrushchev had indeed sent nuclear warheads, never located by the U-2 spy planes, as well as medium-range and intermediate-range ballistic missiles to Cuba. However, wary of a Dr. Strangelove scenario, Khrushchev had ordered the missiles and warheads to be stored miles apart. The declassified crisis correspondence between Khrushchev and Fidel Castro revealed that the latter had urged the former to initiate a nuclear strike against the U.S. in the event of an invasion of Cuba, which the Soviet leader interpreted as a call for a nuclear first strike and refused. And, most startling of all, Khrushchev had managed to covertly send more than 42,000 Red Army troops to Cuba to repel an American invasion, and had also shipped battlefield tactical nuclear warheads to the island, authorizing on-site commanders to decide when or if to fire them. Second, the ebbing and then end of the Cold War brought forward significant archival evidence from communist sources about the missile crisis, or Caribbean crisis as it was termed in Moscow, or October crisis as it was and is called in Havana. These primary sources resulted in valuable additions to and corrections of the historical record, which previously had an unavoidable Washington tilt, since essentially all the primary source evidence had come from the American side. The new documents, which historians never imagined they would see, confirmed, for example, that JFK's instinct was right when he refused on October 27 to order an attack on the Soviet surface-to-air missile, SAM, site that had brought down a U-2 plane over Cuba, which he had agreed to do a few days before. Soviet officers on the ground had fired the missiles on their own initiative, and Khrushchev was appalled by their recklessness. Also, in the event of American bombing or invasion, Soviet forces in Cuba had nuclear cruise missiles in place to destroy the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo, which would almost certainly have ignited a nuclear war. Third, and the most recent, has been the declassification of the one-of-a-kind 43-plus hours of White House missile crisis tape recordings, just over half from the iconic 13 days and the remainder from the November post-crisis. Not even the difficult-to-access archival documents from the Kremlin have influenced our understanding of the missile crisis quite as much as Kennedy's secret tape recordings. The tapes are the closest thing imaginable to a verbatim record of the crisis. In the famous formulation of 19th-century historian Leopold von Ranke, the tapes promise the tantalizing prospect of history wie es eigentlich gewesen ist, as it really was.